everyone. Welcome to another episode of Home Service Hustle. I'm your host, Jonathan Bannister. And today I'm with Texas Medley from Medley Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing here out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Tex, appreciate you being here, man.
My man, thank you for having me.
All right. So you started the business 2017. Let's talk about a little bit before that. What were you doing? Who did you work for to get to the place where you started the business in 17?
Yeah, so I was working for a couple of different contractors doing subcontracted installs.
Okay.
I did that for most of my, we'll call it technician upbringing. I had
Okay.
actually very little experience in the technician side of things. I was primarily an installer.
Okay. What was there a pivotal moment? Was there some big story that took place? Like what made you go from what you were doing and kind of, maybe comfortable where you were to starting your own company?
Yeah, so I've told the story before. I'll go ahead and share it here as well. Um, I started out my first time I was ever in an attic. I was probably maybe 12 years old,
Okay.
around there, uh, helping my dad in the summers. And it wasn't little kid work. He would let me run duct work. He would let me wire the furnace and teach me how to do these things. So I could do all these things, walk through an attic at a very young age. I did that for a couple of years and I left. I went to go work at a grocery store because I thought I want to get a real job. I didn't think that installing air conditioners and working in the heat and being dirty and tired all the time was a real job, if you will. And I saw how my dad struggled financially, so I wanted no part of it. I worked at that grocery store. I loved it. And I have a lot of appreciation for a lot that I learned while I was there. I moved up into management. I was fortunate. I was able to move up into management quite young. So even in high school, I was working overnight, uh, stocking shelves and running a department, getting off in the morning and then going to school until about three in the afternoon or so, go home, get a little bit of a nap and come back and be at work at 10 at night. And I did that for a while, moved up into an assistant manager position where I had a lot of responsibilities. And then I started getting in trouble for doing the things that I thought were the right thing to do, uh, things that I truly felt were good for the stores.
Yep.
Started getting in trouble, started getting a lot of uh, pressure, almost like I felt like there was something out to get me, like there was a hit on me, if you will. So I called the guy that my dad had been working for quite some time and asked if I could uh, come help him on some installs and get back into the trade. And he was kind enough to say, yes, I could. And I did that for a couple of years and supplemented my income working with him, working with other contractors, and doing personal training in addition to that. And then the gentleman that my dad was working for wanted to retire, and he asked if I wanted to buy his phone number. And I said, yeah, yeah. So I'd, backing up just a little bit, I'd gotten my contractor's license about 6 months prior to this and was trying to kind of start my own thing.
Okay.
Then he retired, and I was fortunate enough to purchase his phone number, and that's when it really got that injection of customers.
And that was 17.
That was in 17.
Yeah, I love that story. I can relate to the one with the whole grocery store thing and feeling like you were doing the right thing. My wife now tells me I've been on my own and had my own company since 2015, but she told me, you're the worst employee that she's ever seen. And it wasn't like I never got in trouble for missing work or doing something, morally wrong. It was like I now see that I'm a visionary and I didn't know what that even word meant back then, but I would just see things like, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, why do you have these two people doing it when if this person just does this, it cuts out these 3 steps? I didn't even know probably what the word efficiency meant, but I could just see things didn't make sense the way that the corporate companies were doing them. And man, if you speak up, it's like you just catch so much shit. And I was just like, why is this happening? Why am I having this target on my back when I'm trying to make the company better? I was looking at it like I'm trying to save them money. And I would get a supervisor on my ass. And he was like, what are you trying to do? Take my job? I'm like, I don't want your job. I just don't understand why we're doing it this way, because it's taking more time and more people. It doesn't make sense. So I get it, but it pushed you and I both to where we were supposed to be, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah. And when I resigned from that job, I didn't even go to my direct manager at the time. I had so much such a nasty taste in my mouth from who my direct managers were. At least the last three that I had, that I jumped over them and went to the district manager and told him what was going on. And I cried. I loved that company, and but I just knew that, hey, this is the end of the rope here for me.
Well, let's dig a little bit into the business now. So your journey with Medley, it's super inspiring, right? And so could you share how your passion for leadership and psychology has influenced the way that you lead your company today?
Sure. Much like what you said, in that you were a visionary but didn't really know what that meant. When I started this company, I had no real idea of how to build a company, run a company. That anybody that I ever did sub installs for were guys that were one truck operations and just needed somebody who could help them on installs or do installs for them. So I didn't have any kind of a background. And obviously, there's struggle that comes with that, but there's also a lot of really good things that come with that. Uh, I I had no idea what was good and what was bad. All I knew was do what I think is right. And one of the things that I always really felt strongly about was uh, taking great care of the customer, being friendly, being kind, being professional, being honest. Do the best work you can do for them. If you make a mistake, make it right. Uh, if somebody calls, and answer the phone. If you tell them you're going to do something, make sure that you do it. All these like super simple things that I had no idea that other people weren't doing, because to me it just seemed like the most common simple things that should be getting done. And that served me really well in that I was able to capture a lot of customers, keep a lot of customers, and breed that into the culture that we are today.
So you're in a super competitive market, right? Just so everybody's clear, he's in Dallas, Fort Worth. It's a very, very competitive market. Um, what unique strategies have you implemented to maintain that 5-star reputation and transparent pricing model? Because I know you're super passionate about that.
Yeah. So as far as maintaining the 5-star reputation, to me, it's just doing the right thing consistently, without much of an expectation. Again, this is one of those things that people ask me about, and I don't have a super incredible answer to give, or something that's like filled with wisdom. It's just doing the smallest things well and doing them consistently. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm friendly when I go to the house. I don't lie. If I make a mistake, I apologize and then I fix it. It's the 5-star reputation. I mean, I'm super grateful for it, but it doesn't mean that we never make mistakes. It just means
Right.
we try to do the right thing all the time. It's non-negotiable to our first core value is operate with the highest level of integrity. Uh, and it's I don't really know how to articulate that. I guess it's to me, it's not whimsical. It's just be nice, be professional, do a good job, and the rest kind of falls in place as far as that goes. Help people, be kind.
You make it seem really simple, right? But you came with that mindset, you came with that mentality. That's how you were going to run your business when it was just you. And then obviously you started growing the company. So company culture sounds like it's clearly a priority for you. that would be what people need to hear is how did Texas, how were you able to pass that company culture to everyone else that look, we're going to be honest, we're going to work on integrity, like we're if we make a mistake, we're just going to own it, we're going to fix it, we're going to communicate. How do you do, I mean how many people do you have in your company today?
35 or 40, I think,
So
somewhere in there.
so you talk about you mentioned your core values, I think you said. So what is the process look like when someone comes? Like, how do you pass that and instill that belief that you have, that the whole company has? How does that go into each person? How do you make sure that you hire the right person that's going to pass those same values down to your future customers?
There's a couple of things, and some of it I think is intuition. You speak with somebody, and you're taking a gamble on them, much like they're taking a gamble on you,
Yeah.
at least to some degree. And if you get a good feeling about them, you offer them the job, and they choose to accept. Day one, they're walking through, they're meeting people, they're seeing the energy, they're feeling the atmosphere. Um, they kind of get a glimpse of what really goes on, and then we sit them down for 3 days with our general manager, and he goes through all of our processes, our core values, how the company was started. Really gets to know the technician or the person, and they go through uh, who we are at the heart of the company and what that means and what that looks like. And then we live up to it when they get out there in the field and they feel the support and they feel like they're not having to tell lies to the customer because they'll call us. And you can see it a lot when people come from other companies that it kind of shocks them a little bit. Um, they may call, hey man, look, I screwed this up. What do you want me to tell the customer? Well, tell them you made a mistake, and it's going to take you a little bit longer to fix it than you initially anticipated.
Yeah.
And it kind of throws them off. We see that quite a bit. But I mean, the biggest thing, if I had to sum it up, a lot of it's just by osmosis. It's, I think I'm using that word the right way, anyways. Everybody here is is kind and professional and has integrity. So, and that just breeds more of that.
Right.
Not
Yeah, I think
always.
it's
I mean, sure, you can get a bad apple. That can happen
of
anywhere,
course.
but by and large,
I think a lot of people just need to hear that it's maybe slowing down and making sure that you're hiring the right people. Like let your gut be an instinct, let some other people be a sounding board for you in the company. Um, there's no doubt that A players want to be around other A players, right? So I think like good people want to be around other good people. So if you do get that bad apple in there, it won't take long before they're exposed and they're out. But I think people just, I mean, why do you think you've worked at some other companies and you've been around other um, organizations? Like, why do you think so many people hire the wrong people?
I guess that depends on what you mean by wrong. Uh, if are you speaking from an integrity standpoint?
Well, I don't know if it's, yeah, because most of the time they're hiring off of skill, and then they find out that they've got the guy that's working on the side, trying to do his own thing on the side, or he's screwing over a customer, like whatever it is, he's beating up his wife. I mean, just these things that just happen. And I just, I deal with so many clients ourselves, and you just hear like, we're hiring again. Like this guy didn't work out. And then you just kind of think like, you know, and then they're like, oh, there's so hard to find good people these days. I'm like, I just don't know if that's always the truth. Cause I also hear success stories like yourself where you just have a different process and maybe you kind of weed out some of the bad stuff first.
Well, I mean, we certainly try to. I'm not going to say we get it right every time because I mean, we certainly get it wrong a lot too. Uh, but I do think we make a real effort to get it right, and we if we get it wrong, then it's somebody pulled the wool over our eyes more than it is us not doing our due diligence.
Right.
And that'll happen. I don't really get too worked up about it. I don't like it, obviously, but it's not worth uh, getting all stressed out over. It's going to happen. It'll happen again.
Yeah. Community involvement. You know, obviously you realize the power it can have for your brand and the difference it can make between you and your competition. Are there any local initiatives or partnerships that Medley is particularly proud of?
I mean, we recently sponsored a chili cook-off at the VFW, the local VFW. That was cool. Got to go out there and try, man, I don't know, like 20 different chilies. I was
Nice.
filled, uh, completely stuffed on just these little bitty cups of samples by the end of it.
Uh,
But yeah, that was really cool. Um, I get asked that quite a bit, and I don't do a great job of, sponsoring events and uh, getting notoriety in that way. What we do a good job of is I'm pretty active on Facebook,
okay.
and uh, I'll see somebody ask a question in one of the local groups, and I'll go in there and I'll answer it as well as I can. Not trying to solicit our services, just trying to help. Um, and so, you may see somebody say, look, the AC's not working. What could it be? Well, I'm not going on there. Call professional company. This is dangerous,
Yeah.
and I don't do that. I say, well, if you want, give me a call. Here's my number. I can walk you through what's going on. Or if somebody posts a picture of, maybe they got a capacitor or something like that, and they're like, I think this is the problem. Where can I find one? Inevitably, you're going to see, 15 AC guys in there. You shouldn't touch that. That's dangerous. It's not that big of a deal, man. Here's where you can get one. Like, just small stuff like that. Trying to help people when and meet them where they're at, and sometimes that's been really good to us because while everybody in there's looking to be self-serving, at least the contractors looking to be self-serving, and somebody had a question, and I go in there and I just answer it. We've had it a lot of times where a year or two later I've long forgot about that conversation, and we get a phone call from that person who this time doesn't know what's going on, and they would like some help.
Yeah, I think that's important, that people see what Tex is trying to point out here is that he's providing value. And I think when you provide value, it builds trust. It makes it makes it a personal transaction, right? You want to get into that. You want it to be something that they can feel good about. That you're, what are your odds, right? If you jump on there and you said there's 15 or 20 companies going, hey, give us a call, we'll help you out. Like, well, what's going to make you stick out over those other 15 or 20 that's already beat you there, right? But coming from a place of integrity and coming from a place of just trying to help and provide value, that's going to stick out, right? Where I'm not trying to sell something, I'm just trying to be helpful. And so like we try to encourage our clients to do that from the video content that we put out. We want to say, listen, like when we build this funnel, you're going to spend money on top of the funnel to these people in your community that don't know you yet. And you're going to educate them, and you're just going to give them tips, provide value. And it's going to make them like, hopefully look at their wife and go, wow, I didn't know this, honey. Look, check this out. Right. That's it. There will be nothing on there that says call here, click here, sign up for this, buy this, nothing. Right. There's a process. You can work them through a funnel, retarget them, and then show them testimonials, show them a whole project that you've done from start to finish with the customer at the end of it. Show them your story brand video. Again, you're not selling them anything. You're just trying to build that trust and credibility. And there is a time and a place to put an offer in front of them, but it's not to someone that doesn't know you yet.
Sure. I mean, it's like trying to get married on a blind date.
Yep.
Uh, It, it,
100%.
but I think that there's an important element to it. It has to be genuine. It has to come from a place of, look, I get gratification out of helping you.
Yep.
Um, and I just want to do something nice. It has to come from that place because if it's being done from if it's being done from a self-serving place, but being portrayed as being from a selfless place, I think people sniff right through that.
Right. Yeah. And we all the way down to I try to tell our clients, look, the video content, go find the stuff your customers are having questions about. Find the questions on Facebook that you're finding in local groups. Go to Google on people also ask for your local area and put AC repair and see the questions that people are asking. Go to Reddit in your local area. Find the things people are asking questions about. Turn that into content, right? Like Marcus Sheraton, they ask, you answer. Like, find out the questions that your customers have. There's all kind of tools now. All the phone calls are recorded. Like, use AI to determine what people are calling in and asking your CSRs, and turn that into content. And like, that is going to be step one to helping people right there. And then get it to your customers, put it into your database. I mean, there's a lot. Like, what do y'all do for y'all's database? Do y'all is it email marketing, or do you send videos? Do you ever put some of this educational stuff and help those customers that, like, hey, we had a customer over here in Frisco, here's what the problem was, here's what they asked us. And then, like, what is your thoughts on passing that on to other customers of yours that may be struggling with that same issue?
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we started to build for a while. I need to get back and revisit it, but it's just a whole bunch of different how tos.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I mean, the number of times that somebody will call in the middle of winter and they'll say, "Look, my furnace isn't working," and I checked it out, and looks like the flames are coming on, and then they're going back off, and it does that about 3 times, and it stops. And I was going to see if you can get someone over there, and you can kind of pattern interrupt a little bit by saying, "Yeah, I can certainly get over there, but if you'd like to save the money, I can probably walk you through how to fix that over the phone. Let me send you a quick little video. I bet you can fix it yourself in about 10 minutes and not have to pay me anything."
Yeah.
Just
But you
small things
you
like
you
that.
gained a customer for life that way.
Yeah, or even an existing customer, and then they remember that, and
Right.
I know they remember that because when we go out there in the future, they tell that story. They tell the text, "Yeah, it was cold one night. I called up there and somebody walked me through how to fix it on the phone, and I haven't called anybody else since. I was so grateful."
I love it. Um,
Now,
yeah.
flip side is, uh, and so I'm not super money motivated. I'm just not. It doesn't excite me. Certainly, I have to earn money. Like, we all understand that. I have to make a living like everybody else does, but more doesn't get me more excited, and more doesn't make me more happy. So I'm really fortunate in that regard because I think it helps me make uh, wiser decisions. Now, I say that to say that because of that, aren't going to see the top line revenues grow as uh, quickly as some others may see.
But I think your strategy will allow your revenue to be consistent and controllable.
Yeah, and I feel good about the money we earned because I feel like we
Yeah.
earned it.
And you can always throw more money and marketing your advertising to bring in more customers. But I think the lifetime value is so important. I think treating your cut, like, I look at those companies that I'll talk to them and I'll say, like, how many club memberships do you have? And then kind of like, how did you get to 6,000 or 12,000? Like, and then they tell me the story of how it's grown and what their retention rates are. That tells me a lot about them on the integrity side, because when they have that many contracts and they hardly ever lose them, I think that speaks volumes for how they run their business.
Absolutely. They're not giving people a reason to look anywhere else.
Right. So let's talk about the marketing side. What you mentioned, you're big on Facebook. Um, what things over the years, and then kind of where Medley is today, like, what do y'all do for marketing? What advice can you give to the people out there that are going to be listening to this, of where they should be looking to do, or things they should stay away
So
from that you've learned from?
so the first thing I'll say is I am not a marketing expert. I tend to have a lot of big ideas and People will let me play with those ideas sometimes, and I can't even tell you if they work or not. I just try whatever feels exciting and fun and good. I can tell you what we're doing,
Okay.
and I can tell you what we've done in the past. I just want to kind of throw this out there that I do not claim to be a marketing expert by any capacity in any capacity. Um, we do all the natural channels, right? Yelp, Google us, say Facebook ads, uh, YouTube ads,
Okay.
shorts, all of those, all those things that I think are kind of the same things that most people are doing.
Okay.
In addition to that, we talked about uh, trying to stay relevant in neighborhood groups. Um, but then we really try to find our identity. We kind of landed on what our identity is about a year or two ago, and realized some things that made us different that we didn't really know made us different until we it started coming up more and more. And one of those things was transparent pricing. It kind of began with the fact that if somebody called, I never really had a problem telling them what something cost on the phone.
Okay.
Um, and I never really even had a problem telling somebody what we paid for things. It just never bothered me. If somebody had a question, I would tell them. And if they wanted a price on a system, I could say, yeah, what you're describing sounds like it's about $12,000. Don't hold my feet to the fire because there may be some nuances to your particular job. Be happy to go out there and take a look if you'd like. No, it's too high. Okay, whatever. Yeah, that sounds good. Would you come out here and take a look? Sure. Well, that evolved, and I got linked up with Travis Ringy. If you know him, he's a great friend of mine. I absolutely
Yeah.
adore him, and he hooked us up with the group that built his online pricing tool, so pricing can be displayed on the website.
Okay.
So that was kind of like the second phase or evolution of it, if you will. And we did that for about maybe 2 years, I guess. And we got a
Okay.
different tool now, but we still do online pricing. Um, and just for reference, Travis is the real pioneer of that. He was doing it way, way, way before anybody else. But even when we started it, uh, I got a lot of pushback from both contractors and uh, let's call them marketing experts,
Okay.
saying that you can't deliver value through a website. They need to you got to be in the home. You don't know this. You're shorting the customer. You're doing this. You're doing that. And my thought was, why not? I genuinely just didn't understand why not. Um, I understood it was because they want it's an opportunity to get in the house and explain the value and deliver the value. I get that. But I didn't know why putting your pricing on the website would discourage anybody. Um, I don't think anybody who would have bought if we went. I don't think there's anybody who would have bought if we went to their home and never saw a price that wouldn't have done the same thing if they never saw it online at all.
I agree.
Um, so that was really probably complicated way of following that story of how we found that piece of our identity. And then that evolved into the obvious things we hear from customers. Look, I looked this thing up. It's this much online. Why is it so much when you come out here? And enough of those conversations that either my general manager or myself were having with customers, and we found that we could normally get people calmed down if they were explained what was going on, or if they had it explained to them, I should say. And then that became, well, what if we just got ahead of the problem before there was a problem? And what if we could bridge the gap between the price of a part and the sales price in a neat and simple way that most people could understand, and make them allow them to understand they're not being taken advantage of, that there's real thought that goes into these prices, not arbitrary numbers uh, that we threw on a tablet to try to get as much out of them as we wanted or as we could. And that was kind of where the thought of clear cost, what is now clear cost pricing, came from. It was conversations from customers, well, how much are the parts and how much are labor, and what does everybody do when they get asked that? Right, well,
Um,
they get huffy
yeah,
puffy.
right.
Um, Whereas I kind of saw that as, oh, this guy wants to be educated. He wants to make a smart decision. I respect that. Um, and so what we started to do was, um, I wanted to see how can we do this in an elegant way that is consistent, repeatable, and makes sense to the customer. And so about two or three iterations in, we had what is today's version of clear cost pricing, and we had online transparent pricing. And that's when we started to realize who we really are. It's like, oh, we're just transparent. Like it's simple. It's all these things that we were doing anyways. We just kind of built an image around it.
I love it. I was in Miami a couple months ago at it was a marketing mastermind group that I'm in, but the guy who runs the mastermind brought in Marcus Sheraton, the author of You Ask, They Answer, and probably the best speaker I've ever heard in person as well. I mean, absolutely phenomenal speaker.
Sheraton?
Sheraton, Marcus Sheraton. And if
Write
you haven't
that
read
down.
that book,
I
read
haven't.
that book, read it. It will be super impactful to your business. But it's called They Ask, You Answer. And he talks about, he owned a pool company, like they did fiberglass pools or something. And we're going through like the times of the '08 housing crisis. And he ended up becoming the number one pool company website as far as traffic globally, because he took the method of, he was taking all the questions that every time they went to go give a quote for somebody for a pool, the questions that they'd have, he turned it into content. At that time, it was blogs, but now people can do the same thing he talks about with video content. It's just people all have the same questions, relatively speaking. It's like just educate them on it. But he talked about for like 2 hours with us that if you don't get your pricing on your website and you don't start being transparent with things, he's like, you will be out of business in the next couple of years. And he goes, I don't care what industry you're in. He says these marketing companies, but he goes, whatever niche you're serving, tell all your customers. And if they tell you, oh, but you don't understand my business, he goes, that's what they all say. He was like, I don't care what your business is. You're going to get left behind when it comes to AI, because the way the AI is going to work is like this. Hey, AI, I'm off on Tuesday and I need to get my water heater flushed because it's been a couple of years, but I'm only off on Tuesday before 2 p.m. So if you would do some research for me, find me like a reputable plumbing company in my area here in Carrollton, and see what their availability is. If you can find someone before 2, and like get the best pricing that you can, and go ahead and book it for me, and just let me know when that's done. Like, no one's going to go to a website. No one's going to read reviews. No one's going to do their own research. The AI is going to do it. So if that AI can't go to your website and see that you do water heater flushing, that what your pricing is, what your availability is, and the ability to book it, this is going to be in the next 6 to 18 months. But if you can, if you're still one of those people saying like, I don't want to put my pricing out there, it's going to hurt us and all this stuff, you're going to get hurt. Like, you're going to get hammered.
That so I love that, by the way. Um, I kind of think when people say that they can't have their pricing online or they can't take that kind of approach, they kind of know that they're too expensive.
Right.
Um, and that it would dissuade a lot of people. Now, on the flip side to that, much like what it sounds like Marcus was speaking to, I do the same thing, and I'm not necessarily always looking for the lowest price on things. I'll give you an example. A few weeks ago, I was going through. We use Gusto for payroll processing,
Okay.
and I was just kind of browsing one night. I wonder what else is out there. Maybe something easier to use. more all encompassing, or, what's out there that I don't know about.
Yeah.
And so I went through and I started looking. I said, okay, Gusto, it's, $49 a month plus $6 a person or whatever. And I found Paychecks, and it was, whatever price it was and whatever. And I saw several of them. And then I saw ADPs. And I thought, oh, this looks like really impressive. No pricing. Nah, I'm not going to fool with it. And instantly just no more attention given.
Yeah.
Whereas they had me hooked with their value.
They wanted you to schedule a call or let someone call you or fill out a form. I know. And it's like, we live in an age, like, if people haven't learned yet, like, everyone's seen the boxes piled up on people's houses, like with Amazon, and there's nothing on Amazon that you can't see the price for. It's right there front and center, and you can click a button and get it dropped to you. So why anybody feels that, one, people do financing, right? We finance our phones, right? So obviously financing needs to be part of the conversation, but you can be very transparent about that. Here's our pricing. Here's our finance options. I mean, that's one way that you don't have to be super scared of your pricing as well, because you could show what your equipment cost, but you could get the payments down to X dollars per month. But they feel that the value is in getting in the home. I think, me personally, because what I've learned in the last 3 or 4 years with branding has been super impactful for me and the way that we see things in our own company. The value should be built before that customer even calls you.
Yes.
Right. And so if you have no brand equity established, your back's already against the wall. You're dealing with a very transactional relationship anyways. And they want to know how fast you can get there, how cheap is it going to be, and then how quickly you can get out their house when it's done. Right. You don't want that customer anyways. But if you don't start investing into what I call the 95% of your market that doesn't need you today, only 5% of the market today in DFW needs a contractor. Well, you and all of your competitors are all fighting for that same 5%, and you're all on Yelp and Angie's List and Google and all these different places. But the 95% are the people that live in the service area. They own a home. They just don't have a problem today. So, like, are they seeing you? Like, are they hearing from you? Whether it's a TV, a billboard, streaming TV, whatever it is. But most people don't want to invest in them because the question is, well, what's my ROI going to be on that? It's like the same thing it's going to be on the billboard you have up in there, right? Like, digital's looked at as this return on ad spend, or give me this guaranteed return on investment. It's like, that's the wrong way to do it anyways, because lead generation like the lead's going to be of a poor quality and very expensive. Not just what the lead's going to cost you with Google, the end lead result, because it's going to be purely transactional. It's literally going to be how quickly you can get out here. Oh, we can't be out there until tomorrow. That's okay. I'll call someone else. Right?
Yeah,
You don't want that person.
it's a lot like, people that, they throw some money at whatever stock they think is going to blow up. I've
Yeah.
never invested before, but I'm gonna throw, $500 into GameStop because I heard it's ballooning or whatever, and
Yeah.
then it goes up or it goes down or whatever. They win or they lose, whatever. Um, versus saying, hey, I'm gonna take some money every month and I'm gonna put it over here in this boring ass index fund. It's just gonna sit there for 5, 10 years. It's gonna just be boring. It's just gonna sit there, not do much, and then it sprouts and it grows,
Yeah.
and then it grows, and then it really grows. Yeah, I kind of think of it in those same. It, I kind of think
Similar.
of it a
Yeah.
lot in that parallel.
Yeah.
Um, and that we're really marketing for tomorrow's customers, not today's.
You have to. Right. I call it digital heroin. And so many contractors are hooked on the digital heroin. They need the leads. The digital heroin is the leads. And they're like, well, if I don't get the leads, I got to lay my guys off. Or if I don't get the leads, this is going to happen. It's like, well, yes, you need to be where the places are where you can get leads from. But if you're stacked up against these other bigger companies that are working on their brand and brand identity, then the average person, right? You talk about psychology. I think the way that the human brain works is we gravitate to things that are familiar, things that are comfortable. So if that person's in a fight or flight moment, They woke up today, obviously here in Dallas, it's a pretty nice day. It's not super hot. But if it would have been hot, they woke up in their homes 84 degrees when they woke up this morning. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I got to call an air conditioning company. You know, the kids are in the house. It's hot. If they were to go and put in AC repair near me or air conditioning company, whatever keyword they use, I think the brain is looking at all the options that come up on the page. If they see something that they have seen, whether consciously or subconsciously, I think they gravitate there. They may not necessarily click with it and go with that company, but I think it's the brain is going to gravitate them to that place. Like, oh, I've seen their billboards. I've seen their commercial with the wife and the kid holding the dog and this funny thing, whatever it is, they're going to gravitate there. So I don't care if you're paying to be at the top of the page or congratulations if you're on all 4 pieces of real estate of Google. If you're smashed up against these brands that have more brand equity in you, you're going to get out-clicked every single time. And it's like, well, how do I get more brand equity? You invest into the people that don't need you today. They're going to need you in the future. But then people go, well, I can't afford to do that. And it's like, you can't afford not to, because I think that's what I call it, the tech cartels. Like, that's what I think the tech cartels have convinced all businesses is you don't need to do this stuff for branding, right? TV, radio, billboards, all that stuff. Because that doesn't show you your instant return on your investment. Yeah, that doesn't show you instant
Well,
leads
that
tomorrow.
and a lot of these guys, they don't have I don't want to say they don't have the foresight, but it's hard to have the foresight when you're in a truck grinding it out all summer. The last thing you're thinking is, I should be marketing right now.
Yep.
And then wintertime comes and it slows down and you don't have leads. And you think to yourself, well, it's a good thing I didn't hire anybody because I wouldn't be able to keep them busy all winter.
Right.
And then you kind of get stuck in this cycle of being afraid to hire anybody because there's no leads through the winter, but being too busy in the summer to spend any money or even think about marketing, so that when winter comes, there's no leads again. And it's just this perpetual cycle.
Yeah, you're right. Man, listen up, people. When you're listening to this, listen to what he's saying, because like it's the truth. And you wonder why you keep getting that cycle. And it's like, oh, it's the weather, it's the marketing company. And it's like, well, you're going to keep saying those same things every year because the weather changes every year. And when the weather changes, demand goes away. And when demand goes away, I guess that's when you feel the marketing company's not doing a good job. And listen, I know not every marketing company is great, but what I'm here to tell you is if you don't have any brand equity established in your community, your digital marketing or whatever marketing you do is going to suck anyways. It's going to cost
Well,
you way more money.
and I would argue that bad marketing beats no marketing.
Yeah. Well, and I would also say to those people that, and I never really thought about it this way until you just said it. Like, I've heard so many times contractors go like, we're so busy in the summer. Like, we're so busy. We need to turn some things off. And it's like, no, I think you just need to pivot and you need to go into a brand awareness stage, right? Or
Yes.
hell, if you've got that much money right now, go pay some kids to go knock on doors and sell maintenance contracts for 4 months, 3 months down the road when it's going to be slow season, right? Like, you don't even have to go do the maintenance work now. Just give a complimentary one away and get you an extra 400 appointments on the book for September, October, November, whenever it starts slowing down. And you go, oh my God. And it's not like, oh my gosh, the leads went dry. It's demand went dry. Like, there's just no, like,
Yes.
there's no need for it in the market. All right. Let's talk about the future. Let's kind of wrap up here with the next 12 to 18 months. What are the key growth objectives for Medley, and how do you plan to leverage the current marketing investments and to achieve the goals that y'all have set for the next 12 to 18 months?
So this year's been pretty, if I'm being just blunt, this year's kind of sucked.
Okay.
I think that's been the consensus
From coast to
mostly
coast.
nationwide.
Yep.
Yeah, with a couple of outliers out there who are just really spectacular. For us, that's not the case. It's been slow. It hadn't been a great year. Now, with that, it's there's some good to that, because it forced us to look at ourselves very honestly and really think about where we've gotten fat, where we've gotten lazy, and allowed allowed revenues to kind of hide some of our sin.
Hmm.
And so we've gone through and really taken a deep hard look at um, overhead expenses primarily, so operationally, things that we need or don't need, and forced us into a little bit of a creative mindset of, okay, well, let's say we didn't have this, what would we do?
Yeah.
And just sort of going down the P&L. I mean, just almost every single items had a hard look, if not twice, three times, and it's amazing when you really start to think about it and put effort into how could I do it if this was not an option. Uh, all the things you can come up with that really don't disrupt operations terribly, and most of those things are not going to necessarily be like these huge, like I just say, 200 grand or whatever. But I bet you can find a lot of five and $10,000 things a year that are not necessary, that are nice to have,
Right.
um, that you can operate well without. I say all that because in doing this, uh, I don't know the exact number we're up to now, but I'm confident that it's eclipsed $200,000 annually. And so when I think about that, I think about, okay, well, if you're 10% net profit, well, what's $200,000? Well, that's $2 million in revenue. So you're 200 or $2 million in revenue now that you don't have to sell to land at the same profit.
Yeah.
And that goes, up and up and up. But I say all that really long backstory to say that when we look at 2026, obviously we hope to grow because we took a step back this year. But really looking at how can we be just incredibly efficient, incredibly lean, forward thinking, and profitable. So the revenues, we have to have them. Obviously, you don't have any money without revenue. There's a limit to how much you can save. There's not a limit to how much you can earn. Um, but I think that as tough as this year has been, and as tough as I project it to be, at least for the remainder of the year and first quarter of next year, I think a lot of good will come out of it when we hit the ground running next year because we will have leaned out, been training, if you will. We're in training season
Yeah.
right now, and we're getting conditioned right now for the big fight next year.
Yeah. And I think getting that lean, it's going to really show y'all. Well, we know how we can operate super lean at this. So as we scale and grow, we don't have to get real fat and heavy again because we've seen how we can operate lean, and we're gonna stay that way, right? I
Yeah.
mean, this wasn't just a temporary thing. If we know we can be super efficient and run here, why do we scale and get fat?
Well, like it's a small thing, and I'm sure that I know that we're not the only company that does this, but I think we're one of the few companies of any scale that does this. None of our CSRs come into the office.
Mm,
It's it's it kills our efficiency. People call in more. They get sick more. They got problems with kids that they have to go home and tend to, and we just took a hard look at it. We did a lot of planning and preparation. We got it set up well. We can still create an in-office feel uh, because of what technology allows for, and the customers I don't think have noticed any different. It's been very smooth. So we don't have any CSRs that come into the office. One of the other things I'll offer is I think people are, I think people think the future is always going to want the same thing that they want. And I think that can be damaging. I hear a lot of people say, uh, you need you have to have people answering the phone. People want people to answer the phone.
hmm
They get tired of robots and this and that. It's like, well, yeah, if that thing is robotic and you have to punch through a key list and you get the wrong person on the other end, but if that thing doesn't suck, no, they don't. They if that robot, let's call it, that answers the phone when you call a service company can give you information in a coherent way, doesn't sound weird, and can do the things that you're asking, I don't think people care if it's a person. I don't care if it's a person if it's good. But you hear that a lot. Customers want real people. I don't think they care. They just want their problem solved.
Yeah, they want the problem solved, and they want there to be no uh, friction, right? And if the AI can provide frictionless conversations, and a lot of times it can, and it's very much more knowledgeable than the CSR, unless because you can take all of your documents and every transaction and everything you feed it, and you give it to this now as this expert level CSR. It's been with you for 25 years, but it can say and duplicate the same thing every single time. Where depending on who answers the phone, he or she may have only been there 6 months, can't answer some of
Well,
the harder questions.
and everyone talks about the customer experience. Uh, you hear that a lot, and
Yeah.
our mission statement is to provide a great service experience. So you hear about the service experience, you hear about the customer experience a lot. What no one, I don't ever hear anybody talk about though is what makes for a great customer experience,
Mhm.
and does that change? I think what a great experience is changes over time.
Yeah.
There was I mean, there was a time when a great experience was going into a brick and mortar store and somebody was very polite and eager to help you, and you bought whatever it was you wanted to buy and you left. That was a great experience. I enjoyed my time there. Fast forward, a great experience is going online, clicking three buttons, and something shows up at your house the next day
Or same day.
or same day.
Yeah.
So the expectation of what a great experience is changes, and I think that that's important. That as much as maybe that's not our idea of a great experience or what we think we want,
Right.
uh, I think things change, and uh, we have to be careful because we could very easily find ourselves being the ones who uh, denied denied what could happen. I'm sure you've heard it. I love the quote from Henry Ford when he says, "If I would have asked my customers what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses."
Yeah. Yeah. I think, no, I think that's a great point that people need to really listen to. It does change. We are evolving. Technology is changing the things, quickly. And you got to listen to your customers. I think the more you can communicate and engage with them, the better. Use technology to do so. I think people are really missing out on club memberships, on truly turning them into something special, like making it really you're part of something super special. And it needs to be phone calls, and it needs to be text, it needs to be emails, it needs to be thanking them, let them
So
know how great,
th-
and
think about this for a second. Today's 15-year-olds are growing up, spending some of the most important, pivotal, maturing years of their life that they're going to have with them for the rest of their life
you know
with AI. It's not like you or I thinking about how we will think about AI in 10 years. How are they going to think about and interact and use AI in
Yep.
10 years when that's the customer?
It'll be the norm to them.
It'll be normal. It'll be
Yeah.
completely normal. And what does that look like? It'll, like you said, it'll look like, hey, probably won't have to call, honestly. It'll probably be a home under management that something breaks and the AI calls, whoever, and someone comes over and fixes it. And you never have to call anything.
Right. It's
But
gonna be wild. It's gonna,
yeah, it's
you just
definitely
got to
going to be
be open
wild.
to it. You got to be open to it. And these people that are, if you're not open to put your pricing on your website, let's start there, because you're going to have to get really open and transparent with a lot of things in your business moving forward. I mean, right now, people can take a picture of their water heater and go, "This is the problem I'm having," and ask ChatGPT, what am I experiencing? What do you think it is? And it'll tell them a lot of information. And if you don't think that it's also going to tell them how much parts and things are, right? Like people are going to be able to get this information at this. So
What's saving a lot of these companies right now is the fact that a lot of people, let's say 40 years and above, the people that they serve and are their customers are not deeply involved with what's going on around them. They're not
right.
adapt. They don't know that this stuff is out there, or they're not uh, proficient in making use of it. That's going to change very quickly, though, because even now, I'm starting to see, 50, 60-year-old people using ChatGPT.
Yep.
And then you fast forward a couple years, and every 30-year-old now who's making big money for their first time in their life, they know everything about AI.
Yeah. We hear more and more stories every day of the person going, hey, we sold a $15,000 system today and it came from ChatGPT. And we're like, okay, so what? And they go, no, 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 no. It was a 75-year-old man, right? And they don't believe it. And they had to go ask the guy, like, show us what you did. And they're like, well, I just talked into it and said, I'm looking for, an air conditioning company, blah, 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 or whatever, right? Or I'm looking for this type of equipment or whatever it is. And your name came up and I called you. And they're just super shocked by that. I don't think people should be shocked by it because it's going to be so easy for these grandkids to show their grandparents and go, listen, you no longer have to think what you have to type to search for. You don't have to go read information, read a blog, read a website. All you have to do is click this button and talk into it just like you're talking to your friends, and it'll help you out. Like I showed my parents, I was going to speak at a event a couple weeks ago in Vegas, and my parents were like, what are you going to speak on? I'm like, well, I'm going to talk to a group of contractors about, I'm going to talk about AI and how Google's dying. And this, that's my whole presentation is what they need to be doing as far as gaining awareness as far as their brand. And my parents were like, oh, they were coming here to stay with my kids. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to mess with that AI stuff. We don't know it. And I said, well, let me just show you. And so I pull out my phone. And I was like, hey, are you here? And she was like, yeah, I'm here. I said, listen, me and Lauren are getting ready to walk out the door. We're going to go to Vegas for the next 5 days. My parents are going to be here from this day to this day. They're going to be here with the boys. And all I got to do is say the boys, because the AI knows me and my family and everything. I've taught it already. And I said, can you put an itinerary together for the next 5 days and make it just between Prosper and Frisco, but just give them like things to go eat and activities to go do. And like within seconds, I was like, all right, here you go. Here's where you can go eat breakfast tomorrow. And you can take them goofy golf here and you can take them over here. And I said, whether you want to go do this or not, this right here would have taken you hours, if not days, to put together, and it was put together in seconds. I said, so it's more of a, how do I get more of my time back, and how do I get more time to do the things with the people that I want to go do them with, is the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's why I tell a lot of people that same thing. It's a force multiplier. It's the ultimate force multiplier.
Yep.
And now I do think one thing that we have to be mindful of ourselves, in being, in the group that is excited about AI and understands that this is here and we have to uh, live with it and adapt to it and leverage it, is it'll be very easy to get shiny object syndrome
Yeah.
and start buying up all kinds of AI tools and getting
100%.
out of control that way. It'll be a very easy thing to find ourselves doing.
I was with Billy Klein the other night. We were eating
That's my
dinner.
boy.
Yeah, we were eating dinner, and we were talking about this, and he goes, what these gurus that people listen to and they'll follow the shiny object thing, he goes, they become post turtles. He's like, you know what a post turtle is? I was like, no, I've never heard that. And he goes, well, it's a turtle that woke up one day, was on a post. He's up on a post and he has no idea how he got there, and he definitely doesn't know how to get down. But he goes, that's what happens when they follow these people and they go buy everything that they say, go do this and try this, when they really should just trust their own gut and instinct of how the hell did I get to where I am today? It wasn't by listening to this person or buying this new tool or this new software. It's just go out there and do what you did, get more efficient, and apply more of that. So yeah, I love Billy.
I do too. I think we're going to his house today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's on. I think I saw him on the schedule.
Well, tell him I said hey, and he sent me a mean message yesterday. So tell him I didn't really appreciate that. I just wrote back. I said it's always the ones you love that are the worst to you. I took a picture of me at the fair the other day with my family. It was like me with this French fry thing. It was like this, and he commented. He was like, I mean, how much protein did that have in it? And I was just like, dude, like, I wasn't there,
Billy, 2 years ago, you didn't know what protein was 2 years ago.
I know. I took him to the gym. I was the one that took him to the gym. He put a post out and said, I don't know how to work out. Can anyone help me? And I said, come to the gym. He drove for 5 or 6 months. He drove over to Prosper every morning at like 5:30 in the morning. And we worked out with him and taught him how to work out. Like, that's how my relationship really built with him. So yeah, he looked like a praying mantis. He was so skinny. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks great now.
He does. He looks phenomenal. I'm super proud of him. Well, Tex, I appreciate the time, my brother. I think you gave some really, really valuable information that will help people if they listen, right? Tex doesn't have anything he's trying to sell you or offer you except advice and how to strengthen your business for the future. So I want to appreciate you coming on, and I'd love to have you back in the future.
Thank you, man. I hope I get to meet you in person. You're close enough that I hope you find yourself in the area someday and you'll just stop in.
I'd love
No
to.
appointment necessary.
I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, brother.
All right.